Oh man, we're doing all right.
We're hanging in there. Let's test the depths of all your knowledge. We'll go off script here a little bit. Um, Overstated or understated that for a bad team, Myles Garrett should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm always of the opinion that if you're playing like the best defender, you should deserve recognition, whether or not 10 of your teammates or 20 of your teammates are upholding their end of the bargain. I think it's understated. I think he's probably going to force himself into consideration despite how the Browns are doing, just because of how awesome he's been. And obviously, having a 5-sack game will help. But yeah, I think that if you're playing as the best individual defender, you should get that consideration. And I think he'll probably get that. So I'm going to go with understated.
Have you, at this stage in his career, and he's by far not an old man, but he's
Veteran.
We've done this a while as a vet.
Yeah.
You surprised at his efficiency in terms of the reps he's taken since getting the big deal? He's only elevated.
Yeah, I was really surprised in that sense, and I think it's just because he's been in the league so long. But I think when you take a look, I was looking up his age because he hit that like under 30 statistic. He's 29, right?
Yep.
But I've looked this up, and edge rushers typically hit their peak at around this age, 28, 29, which is kind of, wide receivers will be 27, 28, running backs will be around 25. It's different for every position, but edge rushers can actually hit their peak around age 29, which is where he's at. So I was surprised, and I looked into it, and I guess I shouldn't have been.
That is freaky scary if this guy's on his way up.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
Yeah.
He's in a division of the team that wore the awful uniforms last night that I cheer for too. So I'm never interested in seeing anybody function at a high level in that terrible division.
I mean, his last 4 years are 16, 16, 14, 14 on sacks.
And I always compare him to Watt. They go back and forth.
So if he's elevating, that is, I'm sorry for you and your division.
That's fine. You taking the Ravens to win that thing after the meltdown yesterday in Cincy and in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I guess I kind of have to. That's like one of the ways, which I've never thought I'd be in that spot for the AFC North. But the way that I think evaluate that division is, by default, right? I think you end up yeah, which is like you've never been there before. I think with this division where somebody just kind of settles their way into the lead instead of clawing for it. The rest of this division just looks so. I guess weak is the best way to put it, but I guess muddy is maybe the better way to put it.
Is there any part of you that's hesitant to say a 2-5 team that we don't know when Lamar Jackson is going to play again as the leader in the clubhouse there?
I mean, I understand where that comes from, and I also understand that, and Pittsburgh's been doing this for like 3-4 years now, so I should be careful. But like, Pittsburgh has been clawing their way into wins in ways that you're just like not entirely sure are sustainable or make sense, and so
that's pretty well said.
Yeah, and so going forward, you take a look at the rosters, and I understand Baltimore's a lot to work on defensively. It looks a little bit better now, but they have a lot to work on defensively. But you take a look at the rosters, you take a look at the overall performance, and you understand. One team might have 2 more wins than the other, but I know when I look at those 2 teams, which I think is better, and I think with the balance of the season, I think that the Ravens can pull ahead.
Worst loss yesterday. What happened with the Bears or the Bengals?
God, I think the Bengals, right? Especially because it was a running back throwing a touchdown that did it for you. It's just such like a nice way to put a cherry on top of a collapse.
Pretty depleted Ravens team that won against Chicago, though.
Hey, Tyler Huntley went to a Pro Bowl. You got to respect him.
Put some respect on Snoop's name, all right?
Wow.
Vince Young went to a Pro Bowl too, just for what that's worth.
With Kerry Collins.
I am a little concerned, though, all jokes aside, because I cheer for Caleb Williams' success.
Oof.
I'm not sure his coach enjoys him very much. He just inaccurate sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's the really frustrating thing about Caleb is that he does just enough where you can kind of believe that there's something there. Like every game, there's like a couple of flashes where you're like, oh my God, like there's like a early in the game, actually, the sideline shot to Roma Dunze. You're like, that's it. It's right there. And you, even in that game, I was like, wow, maybe he's kind of figuring out. And then of course you watch the rest of the game and the answer is absolutely not. He's not figuring it out. But I think that because his like defining trait seems to be inconsistency, right? Especially with regards to, like you mentioned, accuracy. Somebody like a Ben Johnson, who has worked with one of the most consistent quarterbacks that we have, whether or not you think Jared Goff is a leader or not, I think it's inarguable that he's consistent.
Mhm.
When you've got that guy who not just executes the offense, which is kind of who he was with Sean McVay, but performs it, right? Changes plays at the line, understands kind of the context of what the offense needs from him. Um, and you go to Caleb, who seemingly just does not care what offense he's in. I mean, he cares kind of what the play might be, but he doesn't understand seemingly what the point of what the offense is trying to do, why they would sequence plays, why these routes might work against these coverages and stuff like that. And with that, I can't help but think that Ben Johnson has to be remarkably frustrated.
I got lost there a little bit. Were we talking about Caleb Williams or Kyler Murray? They sounded almost identical.
Hey, I'm not going to. He knows I have a low-key affinity for Kyler Murray. I keep wanting him to be good. He's such a weird comp because you got to get on the roller coaster with him.
Which is kind of exactly what we just talked about, right?
Kyler Murray's been better longer.
Sure, but I mean, you're talking about flashes here and there. Don't ever really know what you're going to get.
I think we just like hating on
not
Kyler.
Playing on script a lot, not really understand play sequencing or any of that. I mean, it sounds like a lot of similarities. I'm just saying, probably drives their offensive head coach crazy. I don't know.
Arif, I'm here for defending Kyler Murray. What say you?
I'll say this. I think that if you wrote down their traits, their strengths and weaknesses on paper, yeah, they would look like very similar as quarterbacks. So I understand where he's coming from. But like, I mean, let's be real. The floor is just higher with Kyler Murray than it is with Caleb Williams. And that's kind of what we're talking about. And I think Kyler has a better sense of space, right? Like when we talk about, when we talk about Patrick Mahomes, we talk about, oh my God, he's got this incredible awareness, this incredible understanding of where everybody is on the field, where he needs to be, kind of all of that. And obviously, Kyler doesn't have that, but he's much closer there than Caleb Williams, who has explicitly been compared to Patrick Mahomes in his understanding of space, in his understanding of what he can and can't do when things break down. And I think that while Murray does rely, I think, a little bit too much on chaotic moments in order to kind of get things done, he is better both in structure and out of structure than Caleb Williams, even if he has the same kind of weakness profile, right? And so, yeah, I think it's fair to be like very frustrated with the way that Williams plays, Kyler Murray plays. But I think that at the end of the day, you're just getting a better quarterback, even if you're still throwing your hat on the floor at the kind of the same plays. Like, so I get it, but he is just a better quarterback.
Somebody with some sense.
I was mostly just giving.
Hey, they played the game tomorrow. I feel like I should caveat this by saying Tampa's healthy, sans Mike Evans.
Finally.
Because he's not, and he's not coming back.
But.
You like, if you're playing the long game, do you like Detroit better than Tampa Bay?
Oh boy, I guess I don't know how injured the Detroit secondary is. I know that they've been super banged up over the past.
Looks
forever.
like a piecemeal.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think that the Tampa Bay is a better team. I think defensively they're definitely a better team. Now, coming off of that Saints game, it's easy to kind of overvalue that defense given how much they were able to do against both of those quarterbacks. But generally, I think that defense is better. I mean, I think Anthony Nelson has been on his way up, and now he just had the Anthony Nelson game, so that's been good for him. You got Antoine Winfield, you got Jamel Dean doing, kind of his turnover stuff. So there's like stuff that I like, but I think Baker is playing at such a high level when he's got receivers to throw to, which it sounds like that problem will be resolved. He does have receivers to throw to again. That I don't know, the kind of just FU in Baker just makes me put him over the top in this situation, because when he's playing well and he's got, all of that swagger and attitude that he's got associated with who he is as a person and as a player, I think it's really difficult to put him down, right? Like I think on paper, I think that Detroit is supposed to be better. They've won by bigger margins. Tampa Bay started off this year winning by like 1, 2, and 3 points and stuff like that. So I get it, but I look at the two teams, I look at the two rosters, I look at how they execute, and I look at how they operate in really difficult situations, and I kind of have to go with Tampa Bay.
How much value do you put in Green Bay and more specifically Jordan Love's performance last night, while keeping in mind that Pittsburgh defense gave up almost the exact same stat line to 85-year-old Joe Flacco?
It sounds like you want me to be skeptical.
Is this sans the 2 yellow balls that he threw? Like you're not coached that if you're LaFleur.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a huge Jordan Love skeptic anyway. So I'm happy to answer the question the way that you framed it. Obviously, anytime you complete 20 completions in a row or whatever, that's always impressive. You do have to take a look at how those come about, what that is. And he had, I think, one of the lowest depths of target this week. He had, which is to say, he threw the ball downfield on average less than most quarterbacks, despite we're remembering that like moon ball to Christian Watson and stuff like that. And that means that the throws that he had were substantially easier than most. Now, he did complete more passes than you'd expect a guy with that depth of target. So you do want to kind of give him credit for that. But you take a look at those big explosive plays, those incredible, like the throw to Tucker Kraft on, I think it was the same play that Deshaun Elliott got injured, or that Christian Watson one I mentioned. And I think all you can really do is you take a look at those throws, and all you can do is yell at the defense, because those were such easy throws, in my opinion, to defend.
Guys are just wide open.
Yeah, just
DBs that were fielding them like punts, though. Like, how can you not gauge depth?
Yeah, especially on that Watson throw. Just like, stop trying to skydive, my guy. It just gain depth, and you're good. I promise you've got it. And they're not doing it. And so it was a remarkably frustrating game to watch from somebody who has long been a Jordan Love skeptic, because typically, and this is not how he often plays, but typically he's a very volatile quarterback. He's very, all or nothing. You win a lot, you lose a lot. He's got a low success rate, really high EPA per play, which is to say that he lives off of explosive plays. In some weeks that works, in some weeks that doesn't. And this was kind of a little bit the opposite. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the Pittsburgh defense not knowing how to, and here's the thing that really frustrates me about Pittsburgh, and I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir on this one, but they don't do anything interesting defensively anyway. They're not a very complicated defense. It's a lot of
they've really regressed in their packages.
Yeah, it's a lot of country cover 3. I don't think they even do that much match zone. It's a lot of just simple man coverage. And if you're doing that, like, how do you mess up? Like, how is communication bad on this maybe the simplest defense in the NFL? How do you not know how to hit your landmarks? How do you not know how to track this punt of a ball coming down from like the sky? I don't really understand what's going on there. So Jordan Love had, I think, an easier time of it than a lot of quarterbacks did this week. He executed, in fairness to him, above that level, but it's going to take me more to believe in him.
When you look at, and this is the NFL, so you typically want as many good players as possible. How careful should Philly fans be in how they played and performed with getting Barkley back on track, sans A.J. Brown? Fool's gold, something to it. You want all of the good players you can come crunch time. Like, how careful do they need to be in weighing that outcome yesterday?
I think the Eagles are in a position right now where they do have the luxury to think about things long term relative to like the rest of their division and stuff like that. I'm not saying obviously that they should go out and willingly lose games, but I think that they do have more capacity to be careful, especially if they're confident that Jalen Hurts can play at the level that he's done over the past 2 weeks, right? If he can do that, which is, I think, is a big question mark actually, but if you can do that, you can, risk losing some time for some of your key players in order to get them healthy at the right time. I don't know if Saquon Barkley will continue to play at that extraordinarily high level that he played at this week against the Giants. The offensive line has just not blocked as well. He had not been as explosive for the first couple of weeks of the season. So I am a little bit concerned about the repeatability of this, but I do think that they should nevertheless be a little bit more cautious, because if you've got that luxury, one of the benefits of being an elite team, if you've got that luxury, is to have as many players take their time getting back as you can feasibly allow and still win some games.
No way they're better without A.J. Brown, though, right?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. This is just a thing that happened. I mean, some weeks you just get kind of weird games. No, they absolutely. A.J. Brown is like a top 3 receiver in the league. He just doesn't have the numbers for it this year.
Between the emergence of the Patriots and sort of the reemergence seeming of the Kansas City Chiefs, are we ignoring the Buffalo Bills too much?
I think that's actually a really, really fair question. I hadn't thought of it, which I think speaks to your question being true. Yeah, I mean, I think it is easy to be a little bit too hyped about the Patriots. I mean, they did just beat the Browns, so like we don't want to, but obviously Drake May has looked really, really good. Kayshon Boutte has revived his career from his LSU days. He actually looks like a viable receiver. You've got some stuff on defense. I think they've got one of the best defensive tackle pairs in the league right now. Incredible. And they're playing well enough that Keon White's like a healthy scratch. Like they're in a really good spot in a lot of places. Christian Gonzalez is very good. So I get it. But I think that there's like a roughness around the edges that if you've got somebody playing at a peak like Patrick Mahomes that you can kind of ignore. But Drake May still does make mistakes, which is not a knock on him. He's a second-year player, but he's not playing at a level, or I shouldn't even say a level. He's not playing with the consistency that I think I would be so comfortable saying that the rest of those roster weaknesses are less relevant to me. Like when is Ramondre Stevenson going to like fumble again, right? Versus versus someone like a Patrick Mahomes. And so when you take a look at that and then you think about it in terms of, the perspective of the Bills, who kind of started off the season maybe not with as many fireworks as one kind of hoped. Yeah, I mean, Khalil Shakir is coming into his own. He's an outstanding player. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. Cook's game was, holy crap, what a game. And all of that coming together, again, against the Panthers. It's kind of like, beating the Browns. But I think that there's just kind of more there to chew on and understand and to kind of celebrate and realize that, hey, this team is remarkably talented. They've been disappointing over the past couple of seasons, but they've only been disappointing because we've given them Super Bowl aspirations. We don't give the Patriots right now Super Bowl aspirations. Maybe we will in the very near future, but the Bills are fighting for a ring. The Patriots are fighting for the playoffs.
Would you like to remind Mr. Hasan who I said was the best offseason under the radar pickup in all of the NFL in July?
Yes, that would be one Daniel Jones.
Correct.
That would be one Daniel Jones.
Ooh.
So, along those lines, I'm looking at the statistic. Listen, what they're averaging per possession, per drive, and scoring, right? I think I saw the graphic yesterday. They're 3.69 points, which is considerably better than the 07 Patriots, which was 3.19 points per drive. I don't think they can keep that pace up. But even if they don't, given the division, can you talk about the Colts without talking about the division they play in? Is that going to just stick in your mind because of said Daniel Jones?
That's a really good question. I think that's fair because the division is so weak. I do want to say that the Jaguars are actually not that bad. So
yeah, especially defensively. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we just saw, when the Houston Texans are kind of rolling, we just saw that they've got, a lot of ability too. So I don't think it's the old AFC South that we've always kind of made fun of, that the Colts have kind of always been able to take hostage. I think that there's like some stuff there, right? Like they take the best defense in the league. The Denver Broncos put 29 on them. When you have teams that are bad, like the Tennessee Titans, and you beat them by 21, that's the expectation for a really good team, right? They've lost one game this year. They beat the Chargers by, I want to say 14 or something like that. Like they're winning games against teams that have a lot of talent by a pretty good margin. And then when teams don't have that talent, they beat them to the ground. That's what you expect a really high level team to do. And when you take a look at kind of what are the kinds of things that we look for when we're looking for a team that might be able to sustain its level of success? Well, do they do it play by play, or are they kind of big play merchants? And you take a look at the Colts, and they're both. They do it play by play, and they're remarkably explosive. Not only does Daniel Jones lead the league in EPA per play, expected points per play, but he also leads the league in success rate, which is, you don't usually get that. That means that every single play, they're more likely to get what they want to get done than any other team in the league. And then on top of that, they get even more done than that. So does he get lucky with kind of this deep ball to a Alec Pierce that he can't see from time to time? Yeah. but but
Well,
is
when
he
you
also
put it like that.
right? No, he does. That does sometimes happen. But that is, instead of that being the whole offense, that's like a nice little bonus, right? The whole offense is working well. He is working in time with the offense. He is reading the play as it's meant to be read. He is getting rid of the ball, generally speaking, on time. And then he also, on top of that, has a fair amount of athleticism. And then also on top of that, you got Jonathan Taylor. Oh my God. He's playing. I mean, I got a question last night in my podcast mailbag. Hey, does Jonathan Taylor, is he the most underrated Hall of Famer currently playing in the NFL, right? Future Hall of Fame. And it's like, that's a good question. That might be.
He's definitely on track.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. What for you? What's Denver's ceiling? They seem like they could be really, really good. But then I'm like, ugh. Knicks against good teams. It was Dallas. I know they're outstanding defensively. Maybe I just fell in love with the D yesterday with the old school Broncos logo. They seem like they could be pretty good. But then I remember, do I like Bo Nix? I don't know. But I love Harvey was my pick for rookie of the year in the AFC. So I like the team. I give him a yeah, but.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Bo Nix guy. Obviously, some of the throws that he had in this game, even knowing the Dallas defense is spinning itself sideways, some of the throws they had in this game were impressive. I have to give him that for sure. But I mean, he's a big throw screen, and then there's yards after the catch. He's a big. I was looking at this last night too. I was looking at kind of the average separation that receivers have when throwing the ball, and all receivers, not just the ones he's targeting. And his is the best in the NFL. He's got the most open receivers, and it's not as if they are the best receivers in the NFL, but rather that Sean Payton is doing such an incredible job getting these guys open against these particular looks. And I don't like Sean Payton, but I do want to give him credit. He's running the hell out of that offense. He's doing an incredible job designing and scheming that offense for Bo Nix's strengths. And then, he gets out on the run. He can move a little bit. He's got a pretty decent arm, so he's throwing it deep downfield on those shots. Sometimes he's hitting these tight window throws, but for the most part, he's throwing to kind of his most open target, or the most open targets that you get in the NFL. They're doing a lot after the catch. And then he is hitting some genuinely good plays like he did here, but I think that there's just kind of less there. And so when you get an opportunity to kind of see him against a pretty good defense, which I know that they beat the Eagles, but I was really concerned about the way that he played in that game. Obviously, there's the loss to the Chargers. 13 points against the Jets. I don't know. It's tough for me to.
I want to like Dobbins and Harvey though as a tandem, and I mean Peyton can still Peyton, right?
Yeah, and that's it. Is that Peyton does an extraordinary job getting kind of offenses on schedule. And when you've got the best defense in the NFL helping you out, you've got Nick Bonito, the edge rusher who's like leading the league in win rate and pressure rate. When you've got a Pat Surtain doing what he does, I mean,
hopefully he's okay.
Yeah. I think that there's a reasonably high ceiling, but I wouldn't put it at the level of people I consider to be like aspirational Super Bowl guys. So a really good team right now. I am suspicious of that quarterback, but when everything else is kind of clicking like that, it's hard to knock them.
Or if we're about halfway through the season, not quite halfway through the season here. Preseason, it was all AFC North, AFC West, NFC North, NFC West for the best divisions in football. Yeah. Some of those are sort of living up to the billing. Some of those certainly are not. Who's the best division in football right now?
God, I would have to go, especially with the resurgence that we're seeing from Kansas City. I'd probably have to go with AFC West.
Mm.
I know that I believe the NFC North has more total wins right now. I'm not sure, but I think that might be the case. But I wouldn't put them in there. And so you've really only got the NFC West versus the
It's
AFC West.
tied at 17.
Okay, yeah. But
But
to
the NFC
me,
West has also, by the way.
oh, okay. That's interesting. Well, I mean, a lot of that's like Arizona has 2 wins and everybody else has 5, right? So,
Correct. Yes.
but I think that the AFC West win total underplay the level of talent that they have. The Chiefs are 4-3, and right now, since week 5, I believe they're first in the NFL in offensive yards per game, 5th in yards per play, 3rd in EPA per play. I mean, they're playing at an elite level. They're playing at the level that you kind of hope and expect. Now that Rashid Rice is back, and the defense, I think, has always been pretty good. I think a lot of people had some concerns that it may not live up to its billing heading into the season, and they're playing pretty well. So I think the AFC West, especially with the way Justin Herbert is playing, is up there. The NFC West is up there, but I just don't really believe in the 49ers, and I'm concerned about kind of the durability of the Rams. And I don't just mean with Matthew Stafford, but I do also mean him. But like like Puka Nacua getting hurt, that really I think sinks them a lot. Obviously, having Devontae Adams helps, but I just think that they've got a lot of really high level players, but I think that there's not really a ton behind it in terms of depth. I mean, you've got like a Jared Verse, and then what do you have behind them? That kind of stuff. So I like the Rams a lot. I think the Seahawks are maybe adding a couple more wins than you'd expect based off of their talent level. But the 49ers are doing the same. So I'm gonna have to go with the AFC West, with the NFC West a little bit behind, and then maybe you could add the NFC North in a little bit after that. But that's a division full of frauds, including the team I primarily cover, the Vikings.
Oh, long live bringing back Sam Darnold. Let me get you out on this last one for me. Who should be or is actually better than their pretty good record? The Chargers or the Rams?
Man, I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I really wish Marion Hampton would come back this season, but I do think that they're managing with Kamani Vidal and that rest of that running back group. They've got like 4 running backs on practice squad that they just like rotate in. But I do think it's the Chargers. The way Quentin Johnston has kind of turned his career around, the way that Keenan Allen's always available on 3rd down, the way that Ladd McConkey is doing what he does. I'm concerned about kind of what's happening at safety and that safety depth, of course. I'm concerned about that cornerback group, but I just think generally they've got the ability. Finally, it's been a little bit. They've got the ability to put on some pressure. And Justin Herbert is playing at this outstanding level. I was asked to produce some kind of dark horse MVP candidates. Guys, I don't think will actually win it, but is playing at a level that is really remarkable. And I think Justin Herbert is there. I think that he's doing some really incredible stuff, and I think that the offense has kind of been unlocked with Herbert in a way that you were kind of waiting for him to do ever since his rookie year. So I'm going to go with the Chargers on that.
That is our guy, Arif Hasan from wideleft.football. Arif, we appreciate the time as always. Great stuff. And thank you for indulging both my Kyler Murray and Jordan Love hate.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Buddy.